Alex Bruesewitz, who is the CEO of X Strategies. He joins us via Skype now. Alex, it's amazing that you can get subpoenaed to by the January 6th committee, and you weren't even in the state.
Well, thank you for having me on, Dana. And thank you for the kind words. And you're a great friend. And so is Chris. You guys are wonderful people. But so I wasn't subpoenaed yet. I want to make that clear. I haven't been subpoenaed yet. But the commission emailed me and they said, hey, Alex, would love to have you come in. And, they're gonna. But who knows? Who cares? But so they emailed me, Alex, please come in, answer some questions. We think you have information regarding to what took place at the Capitol. Which I don't. I have no information of what took place on January 6th. I was at the Ellipse event where President Trump spoke to hundreds of thousands of peaceful protesters. But it's amazing. They come after me now because on January the 5th, I pledged that I'm going to give $50,000 to those being persecuted. And so I just think they're trying to financially punish me so I can't help others. And I think that's pretty sick.
You said, Alex, there's a big distinction there. And I'll correct myself because you were at the peaceful protest and there were people who broke away from that. Because I know there are people who have been subpoenaed who literally weren't even in the state, which is insane. So you were at the peaceful protest. And I know that it was, I have a friend who does video for like one of the wire services, and he was there filming all of you people who were there at the Ellipses, just there at a, peaceful protest. He didn't even know that people had broken away until his wife frantically called his phone because, the Capitol complex is so big. You could be on the other side of the Capitol and not even know what's going on. And she was like, maybe if you're not there, maybe you should go get video footage. And so he actually had to go and find that to get footage. But what is wrong with being at a peaceful rally? And why in the world would they think that you had any advanced knowledge? Didn't the FBI report already say that it wasn't organized and there was no preparation?
Yeah, absolutely. And also it's been a year since January 6th. And now all of a sudden, 5 days after I'm pledging to financially support others, they're coming after me. And so I just think the timing is pretty funny, but I think the American people have totally tuned out. If the committee had smarter members on it and the people on it weren't like Adam Kinzinger or Liz Cheney or one of the dumbest members, quite frankly.
I didn't mean to exclude him the first time. He's easy to forget about, though. I didn't mean to exclude him.
That's the word I use, dinky, insignificant. And everybody knows it, including his own wife. And it's a shame. And so I hope he finds peace and serenity in his next career as an MSNBC contributor, but that's going to be all right. But one of the dumbest members is the chairman of the committee. His name's Benny Thompson. And this guy is all over MSNBC. He's saying things like the Fifth Amendment automatically means you're guilty if somebody uses it. And so if that's the understanding of the Constitution for the members who are supposedly trying to save our constitutional republic, that's really troubling, and that should be addressed.
It's amazing how now cornerstones of our due process are now considered to be incriminating evidence. They did this during the Rittenhouse thing, too. We're talking to Alex Bruesewitz, CEO of X Strategies, who now the January 6th committee is trying to witch hunt him because he was simply there with hundreds of thousands of other people at the peaceful protest. And then there was a group of people that broke away, and the people who engaged in criminal activity, they already got in trouble. There've been over 700 some odd convictions, I think. And a lot of other stuff has been happening. But the bigger thing with this is that they're using what some people did. And I would question whether or not I think it's completely reasonable to question federal involvement after everything with the Gretchen Whitmer kidnap plot, after we had an FBI agent who falsified an application on the application to FISA and tried to claim that CIA asset against Russia, Carter Page, was somehow like a Russian stooge. And they had to omit that in order to get access to surveillance on him. It's not beyond the realm, Alex, of probability to think that throughout this history, maybe, just maybe, there was some involvement of Fed boys in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really appreciate you shedding light on that possibility. And I want to make it very clear that, after the 2020 election, I, along with tens of millions of Americans, had concerns about how that election was conducted. I voiced my opinions online. I participated in peaceful rallies all across the country. From November 3rd to January 6th. There were hundreds of peaceful protests all across the country. I had the pleasure of speaking to them. And I don't apologize for questioning the government. In the United States of America, you have the right to question your government. You have the right to petition your politicians to answer your concerns. You have a right to peacefully assemble. And I think that's something that's also lost in everything that happened on January 6th, is that the Capitol Police gave a permit to a protest to happen at the Capitol on January 6th. Everybody knew it was days in advance before they got that permit. And so they're like, why are all these people coming to the Capitol? Well, the Capitol Police gave out the permit. And I believe that somebody was responsible to secure that Capitol and secure the First Amendment rights of hundreds of thousands of people who wanted to gather and peacefully assemble and peacefully protest. And somebody failed to do that. And somebody, I think, should be held accountable for failing and infringing upon everybody's rights. And if we might be taking action on that soon, because my rights were infringed upon and I was put in danger. If I were to show up to that protest, I was in danger. And who is Ray Epps?
Oh, that's a great point. We'll get to that in a minute. We're talking with Alex Bruesewitz, CEO of X Strategies, who the January 6th committee now is saying, come in and let us ask you questions. That's just the question before the formality of the subpoena. You bring up a really good point. I've been to, over the past 10, 15 years, I can't tell you how many protests I've been at the Capitol. I've spoken at some. I've been there, where they've had hundreds of thousands of people. These things have to be advanced weeks in advance. There's always a ton of Capitol police officers. And when I looked at the video, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it because you were there at the peaceful rally, it did not honestly seem, I've been to smaller events there where there were more Capitol police present. It didn't seem like there were a lot of police there.
Yeah, well, I wasn't at the Capitol that day. I wasn't near it, so I wasn't able to see what the security looked like. But there's been plenty of reports that have come out how Nancy Pelosi declined 10,000 to 20,000 National Guard.
So you were at the ellipses, like way far away, where even that was taking place. Right?
Yeah, it's like a mile. It's a long distance, and it was one of the coldest days that I could remember. I'm from Wisconsin. I was freezing.
Nobody's
my toes
walking
were
that.
cold. My girlfriend, she went home. So after the event, I'm like, oh well, it's really cold, so I'm gonna go change my shoes, whatever. So I never even made it down there. I wanted to because I wanted to participate and exercise my constitutional First Amendment rights to peacefully speak my mind and question the results of the election and peacefully support the 150 lawmakers who agreed to debate the results of the election. But that has all been lost in translation over the last year. Democrats have controlled the narrative on it. Thankfully, because of the dumb members that are on this commission, their narrative is flopping. And there was a focus group that was done recently in a swing district, and some soy boy pollster was like, "Oh, I'm so sad. Like, it's so scary that these voters don't even care about the 1-year anniversary of January 6th." Nobody cares because it was a fake hoax. Everybody knows it, and I think that the truth does deserve to come out, but it's not going to come out from the sham committee. It's going to come out because of Republicans that are going to push back about this.
Yeah, we spoke with a couple of weeks ago my friend Nick Searcy, who has a great documentary about everything that happened at January 6th, and they examine that Ray Epps. And of course, we've talked about the Ray Epps thing before, so my listeners are familiar with, where did that guy go? Like, why isn't that guy? He met with the January 6th committee secretly. Like, how did that?
Yeah.
He met with them. Like, we know the text messages of Mark Meadows, but we didn't know that and we have no transcripts of this guy's meeting with the committee.
And Ray Epps was also a former chapter leader of the Oath Keepers in Arizona, right? All those Oath Keepers are being charged with sedition, conspiracy.
So at the very least, he's an informant.
At the very least, or Adam Kinzinger went away. I'm sorry, but on my screen. But maybe he and Adam are friends. Maybe they have a relationship. Nobody knows. We deserve to have the answers about who Ray Epps is and why Adam Kinzinger is so quick to defend this former Oath Keeper. Is Adam Kinzinger a member of the Oath Keepers? I don't know. These are questions that the American people deserve answers to, and they should be transparent.
Seems like legitimate questions. Talking with Alex Bruesewitz, X Strategies. Okay, so last question for you, Alex. If they subpoena you, you're going to ignore it, right?
Well, I don't want to say I'm going to ignore it, but we're going to deal with it in the proper manner. I don't recognize this committee as legitimate. They are not set up constitutionally. They're constitutionally rogue committee. They don't have the proper balance of members. And I think for the first time in their lives, a lot of these members feel respected and powerful. Look, Adam Kinzinger is 5'5". Do you think he gets a lot of respect on the street?
He's 5'5"?
He is. He says 5'7", but he's 5'5". But for the first time in his life, he feels important and powerful. MSNBC puts him in the high chair. They make him feel really cool. And so if I were to go in there and legitimize Adam Kinzinger, I'm going to give him a win. But I have constitutional rights as well as an American. And I personally don't recognize this committee as legitimate. And if they come for me, it's very clear. It's just strictly political retaliation. Yeah. And the American people are well aware of that by now.
I hope they do something about that insurrection taking place on the Capitol steps right now with the hunger strike that's going on. They definitely keep Officer Byrd away from it, though. But they definitely should. Something they should definitely look at. Alex Bruesewitz, we're going to follow this. X Strategies is the company. Alex, thank you so much for joining us and speaking out. We appreciate it.
You're great. Thank you.